I had embraced the roles of wife and mother as a woman's highest and best calling. Some of my perspective came out of appreciation for the home my parents had built, but some came from the broader culture, which had made Fascinating Womanhood a bestseller. The book laid out a vision for young women to marry and become like Amelia, Thackeray's domestic goddess. After we moved to Arlington, Virginia when I was 10, I heard about ideal womanhood at church. Think of Isabella from Disney's Encanto as a mom, and you get a sense of the impossible ideal. My dad, who worked for the government, had applied for a transfer to Washington, D.C. because he wanted to expose his kids to culture. At least, that's how it was presented to me. Free Juilliard string quartets and Smithsonian museums and National Geographic lectures lured my parents on an adventure they thought would last only a few years. Down the street from our new house in a semi-urban neighborhood was a Bible church with a great youth program. Our family attended a mainline denomination, but my parents let me attend worship wherever I wanted. So I joined that youth group. As I learned the Bible, I also absorbed all they taught and modeled about the nuclear family, and how the father at the office and the mother at home was God's ideal distribution of labor. After my sophomore and his junior year of college, I married Gary, my high school sweetheart. I envisioned myself as a pastor's wife, with service to my husband, our children, and the congregation as my vocation. Just when I considered dropping out of college, though, Gary and his dad urged me to finish. Reluctantly, I stayed in school. After Gary graduated, I again considered dropping out to put him through seminary. But he convinced me to finish while he taught high school science, math, and biology. After I graduated, we moved to Texas, and I took a job to support him. He always had broader views about what I could do than I had for myself. I felt the need to assure friends and family that I had no aspirations to make a vocation of my work in human resources. I was employed with the Financial Services Corporation only to put hubby through. Some expressed concern that my being the primary breadwinner would undermine Gary's manhood. I wondered about that too. But Gary insisted his manhood was not that fragile, and I noticed in the scriptures that Jesus and the 12 were supported by women's income. Luke chapter 8, verse 3. 6 years after we moved to Dallas, Gary graduated, so we decided it was time to expand our family. A year passed, and then another. I went to the doctor who prescribed some pills. A third year. Nothing. And then it happened. A positive pregnancy test. I ran to the store to pick up steaks for what I envisioned as the best dinner of our lives. I borrowed a friend's china and set up the table by her pool so I could surprise my husband with the big news. He was going to have a new name. Dad. But cheers turned to sobs when I miscarried. 7 pregnancy losses and an ectopic pregnancy requiring emergency surgery sums up our second decade of marriage. My fluctuating hormones left me wondering who I really was. Meanwhile, my husband wondered what had happened to his happy wife, as he could barely reach me in my grief. During my final surgery, this one an emergency because of the ectopic pregnancy, I asked my doctor to tie my tubes. I saw my womb as a tomb for embryos and a danger to my health. Following my recovery, we moved forward with adoption. We had 3 failed adoptions in 3 years. Gary and I stood ready to lavish love on a child, yet every door to parenting slammed shut. Throughout that trauma, the most difficult part was not the losses themselves, excruciating as they were. The worst part was not even the financial, emotional, marital, or ethical crises that came with financing treatment, wondering if procedures would work, discovering how differently my husband and I processed grief, making love by the calendar, or navigating the ethics and cost of high-tech treatment. The hardest